Have you ever wondered why some diseases are more prevalent in certain communities than others? Today we delve into the mystery of one such condition known as sickle cell disease. Sickle cell disease, or SCD, is a group of inherited red blood cell disorders. Historically, it's been a significant health burden, with its roots tracing back thousands of years. Ancient writings from Africa, India, and the Mediterranean have described symptoms that align with SCD, showing the disease's long-standing impact on human health. One of the intriguing aspects of sickle cell disease is its prevalence in specific communities. It's particularly common among people of African and Mediterranean descent. In fact, in the United States, sickle cell disease is most common among African Americans, affecting 1 in every 365 births. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, 1 in every 30 babies is born with sickle cell trait. This geographical prevalence is a fascinating aspect of sickle cell disease, hinting at the complex interplay between genetics and environment. On a global scale, the World Health Organization estimates that each year, over 300,000 babies are born with severe forms of SCD. This makes it a significant global health issue, impacting millions of people worldwide. The consequences of sickle cell disease are far-reaching. It doesn't just affect the individual but also their families, healthcare systems, and societies at large. SCD is a lifelong illness, often reducing the life expectancy of those affected. It's also a disease that can lead to frequent hospitalizations and a reduced quality of life, impacting not just physical health, but mental and emotional well-being too. The mysterious nature of sickle cell disease, its historical background, and its prevalence in certain communities make it a fascinating subject of study as we strive to understand its origins and find effective treatments. But what exactly causes sickle cell disease, and why does it affect some people more than others? Stay tuned as we unravel the genetic cause of this intriguing disease in our next segment. The cause of sickle cell disease lies in our genes, the very blueprint of our bodies. This is where the journey into understanding sickle cell disease begins. Our genes, those tiny units of heredity that decide everything from the color of our eyes to the shape of our toes, are also responsible for sickle cell disease. The disease is an inherited condition, meaning it's passed down from parents to their children through genes. But how does this happen? Well, it all starts with a gene mutation. You see, each of us has a pair of genes, one from our mother and one from our father, that control the production of hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a protein in our red blood cells that carries oxygen from our lungs to the rest of our body. In sickle cell disease, there's a mutation in the HBB gene which is responsible for making a part of hemoglobin. This mutation causes the hemoglobin to behave differently. Instead of being flexible and disc-shaped, allowing easy flow through our blood vessels, the red blood cells become rigid and sticky. They take on a crescent or sickle shape, hence the name sickle cell disease. Now, these sickle-shaped cells can cause a whole host of problems. They can stick together and block blood vessels, preventing oxygen from reaching different parts of the body. This can lead to painful episodes, organ damage, and even strokes. What's interesting is that to inherit sickle cell disease, a child must get the mutated gene from both parents. If only one parent passes on the mutation, the child will have sickle cell trait. People with sickle cell trait generally don't have symptoms of the disease, but they can still pass the mutated gene to their children, so there you have it. The cause of sickle cell disease lies not in our stars but in our genes. A single genetic mutation, passed down through generations, can lead to this life-altering condition. Now that we understand the cause, let's explore how sickle cell disease manifests in symptoms. The symptoms of sickle cell disease are as unique as the cells it affects. Every individual with sickle cell disease experiences it differently, but there are some common symptoms that many people share. The most notable of these, perhaps, is what's known as a pain crisis. This is when the sickle-shaped red blood cells block blood flow through tiny vessels to the chest, abdomen, and joints, causing sudden and extreme pain. These pain crises can happen without warning, and they can last from hours to even weeks. Another common symptom is fatigue or anemia. The sickle cells die prematurely, which means there aren't enough healthy red blood cells to carry adequate oxygen throughout the body. This can make a person feel perpetually tired or weak. People with sickle cell disease also have an increased susceptibility to infections. Their spleen, an organ that fights infection, doesn't work as well because of the sickle cells. This makes them more vulnerable to bacteria and viruses, a challenge that is especially significant in childhood. But the impact of sickle cell disease doesn't stop at these symptoms. It can also lead to serious complications. Over time, the sickle cells can damage the organs they block, leading to organ damage, or even organ failure. The lungs, heart, kidneys, and liver are among the most commonly affected. And then there's the risk of stroke. The sickle cells can block blood flow to the brain, which can cause a stroke. This is a particularly severe complication and one that can have long-lasting effects. From pain crises to organ damage to stroke, sickle cell disease affects almost every part of the body. Its impact is wide-ranging and profound, touching not only on physical health but also on quality of life. With such severe symptoms and complications, how do we treat this disease? Though there's no surefire cure for sickle cell disease, we have made strides in managing its symptoms. The current treatments for sickle cell disease are diverse, aiming to control and reduce symptoms, prevent complications, and improve the quality of life for patients. One of the primary treatments is medication, which can range from pain-relieving drugs to antibiotics for preventing infections, a common complication of the disease. Hydroxyurea, for example, is a medication that stimulates the production of fetal hemoglobin, which can help to prevent sickle cells from forming. Blood transfusions are another common treatment strategy. By increasing the number of normal red blood cells in circulation, transfusions can relieve anemia, one of the core symptoms of sickle cell disease. Regular transfusions can also help to prevent complications such as stroke. Stem cell transplants, also known as bone marrow transplants, offer a potential cure for some patients. This procedure replaces the patient's bone marrow, which produces the faulty sickle cells, with healthy marrow from a donor. However, this treatment is not without risks, and finding a compatible donor can be challenging. In addition to these treatments, regular medical care is crucial for managing sickle cell disease. Regular checkups can help to identify and treat complications early, and routine vaccinations can prevent infections. Early diagnosis, ideally in infancy, can also significantly improve a patient's prognosis by enabling early intervention and management. It's important to note that while these treatments can help to manage the symptoms of sickle cell disease, they are not a cure. Each patient is unique, and what works well for one person may not work as well for another. Treatment plans must be tailored to the individual's needs and circumstances, taking into account factors such as the severity of their disease, their age, and their overall health. While we have ways to manage the symptoms, the journey towards a definitive cure continues. The future holds promise for those suffering from sickle cell disease. As we look ahead, we see the beacon of hope that research and scientific innovation brings. The world of medical science is not standing still when it comes to sickle cell disease. Instead, it is forging ahead, pushing the boundaries of what we know and what we can achieve. The crux of this future vision is the exploration of new treatments and potential cures. One of the most promising fields of research is gene therapy. Imagine a world where we don't just manage the symptoms of sickle cell disease, but address the root cause. Gene therapy aims to do just that. It seeks to correct the genetic mutation that causes the disease, potentially offering a lifelong cure. This isn't science fiction, it's a reality that researchers are working on right now, inching closer to every day. While these advancements are exciting, they also underscore the importance of support for research efforts. Research is the engine that drives medical progress, but it cannot move forward without resources. Every bit of support counts. From funding and donations to raising awareness about the disease, every action makes a difference. We must also remember that the fight against sickle cell disease is not just about finding a cure. It's about improving the quality of life for those living with the disease. It's about developing better treatments to manage symptoms and prevent complications. It's about ensuring that those affected by the disease have access to the care they need. So as we stand on the cusp of this exciting future, let's not forget the importance of our collective efforts. Let's continue to support research, raise awareness, and advocate for those affected by sickle cell disease. Though the road may be long and fraught with challenges, the quest to cure sickle cell disease continues. Together we can make a difference.